Hi, my name is Dr. Matthew Radmanish, and I'd like to introduce you to the series of books that has been written through the years. The very first book that I did was called Radio Frequency and Microwave Electronics Illustrated. This book was published in 2001, and it's about radio frequency wave propagation and circuit design. What I did with this is that when I wrote this book, in chapter 1, there is a section that talks about fundamentals of the electronic and waves. That chapter became very popular with the readers. So what I did within the next few years after the publication of this book, I extended the range to another book that came up, and that was the book called The Gateway to Understanding. This book is basically expanded version of chapter 1, which explored many aspects of our physical universe. This is a totally new, I would say, something that most people don't even look into beyond the ordinary physics. It explored many aspects of our world. So this book in 2005 was published and covered many areas, such as, let me tell you what some of the areas that I feel are prominent are the philosophical foundation of sciences, the anatomy of the physical universe, the workable postulates of physics and engineering. We also covered the discovery of static electricity, which is one of the foundation part of monumental discoveries. The discovery of kinetic electricity, the discovery of magnetism from electricity, the discovery of interaction of kinetic electricity with matter, the discovery of force fields, the theoretical discovery of electronic waves, followed by the experimental proof of waves, the supplemental discoveries, and of course the future ahead. Now, having done this book, I realized that most public found this book a little bit difficult to follow, so I wrote a workbook that went along with this book for them to follow chapter by chapter, and basically at the end of the course, they get a certificate. They do the course in a kind of a format, course format, and at the end of it, they get a certificate of achievement once they do the course. This is also very successful. Now, following this book, I found that the readers wanted more data, more simplified version of that Gateway book. So I wrote the next book. It's called Cracking the Code of the Physical Universe. This book was published in 2006 and covers many aspects. For example, let me give you some examples of it. The first part covers a glimpse of our immense universe. Next part, the essence of physical sciences. Part 3 covers the code disintegrator. Part 4 covers the realm of postulates. Part 5 is the phenomenon of space. Part 6 covers the nature of energy. Part 7 is understanding matter. Part 8 covers the phenomena of time. Part 9 covers the dichotomy and duality in the universe, followed by Part 10, which is the observable application mass. Part 11 covers the two facets of our existence, followed by the crowning secrets, and of course, finally concludes by the unraveling of the code. Now, this book became very popular with most people because it was very simple, easy to understand, and a lot of people learned from it how our physical universe stacks up. Then I went on and explored the concepts further. In the meantime, my first book was published in Korean. A Korean version of this book came out and published, translated into Korean, which I think was very, very successful in that country as well, which was followed by the Chinese edition of that book, my very first book, in China. All right, and having done that, then I got busy and I followed my first book. I went back to the first book and I took the fundamentals of that book and published my next book called RF and Microwave Design Essentials, which is basically engineering, design, and analysis from DC to microwaves. It lays the foundation for any engineer to become successful as an RF and microwave designer. So this book lays the foundation for that. Now, having done that, I followed it with my next book, which was called Advanced RF and Microwave Circuit Design, which is the ultimate guide to superior design. Any engineer in this day and age needs to have a copy of this book because it covers many aspects that most designers need to know and enables them concepts such as, let's just briefly cover what it covers in this advanced book. It covers the monumental discoveries of electricity, covers the axioms of sciences, covers the mathematics of RF and microwaves, the laws of electromagnetics, transmission lines. It covers the Smith chart techniques, network design concepts, stability, amplifier gain, noisy networks, covers the small signal amplifier design, power amplifiers, oscillators, the frequency converters such as rectifiers, detectors, and mixers, and microwave control circuits, and ends up with RF and microwave integrated circuit design. This is a very advanced version of all the previous editions. Now, having done so, I turned and I realized that the world of business and survival in this world requires a blueprint for success. So I took the Cracking the Code book and I, one for one, I took it and translated those concepts into the business world, and I came up with this book. It's called The Ultimate Keys to Success in Business and Science. This was published in 2008. In this book, I cover many areas, and particularly I cover the following important concepts. The first part, I cover what we call the essence of science. Of course, any business to be successful must be founded on a sound scientific principle. Then I cover in part 2 a glimpse of our business world. Part 3, I cover key 0, which is the viewpoint key. Part 4 is key 1, the idea key. Part 5 covers key 2, the communication key. Part 6 covers key 3, the niche key. Next was followed by key 4, the establishment key. And key 5 was the exchange key. Key 6 is the trends key. And key 7 is the ethics key. So there are a total of 8 keys that are necessary to survive in this world. Then I followed these sections with the success formulas, such as how we are set up for failure and how we can get out of this failure that we are designed to fall into. Then I cover now what? What if we have, now that we've studied all of these things, what are we going to do with it? Okay. Now, and I've followed it with practical applications in the world of investment and successful entrepreneurship. All right. Having done this, I continued my research work and I realized there's a gap in the scientific world. And that gap was followed by my next book called Electronic Waves and Transmission Line Circuit Design, subtitled Your Illustrated Guide to Wave Engineering. Now in this book, again, I'm covering design, of passive circuits. Particularly, it covers the postulates of RF and microwaves, the discovery of force fields, the mathematics of electricity, the laws of electromagnetics, RF and microwave basics, plane waves in material media, transmission line fundamentals, lossless transmission lines, standing waves and the Smith chart, lossy transmission lines, lumped elements on the Smith chart, distributed elements on the Smith chart, frequency response of passive networks, lumped element matching circuits, distributed element matching circuits, quasi transmission lines, and transients in lossless lines. This was a comprehensive work that I did, which basically completed my lineup on RF and microwave circuit design. So anyone who really wants to benefit can follow up the RF and microwave lineup. In the meantime, as I'm looking, I'm realizing that the world of college and having a college education is not a guarantee for success. So, as I'm searching for answers to the dilemmas and enigmas of our universe, I realize there's a relatively huge gap in our knowledge between an engineer and a businessman. That knowledge can be gapped. And I started searching this area, and I found out there are certain principles that are not talked about in our engineering schools or business schools. So I came up with this, my final book, which is called The Advanced Principles of Success and Prosperity, subtitled Empower the Genius Within. Now, this is a very, very powerful book for several reasons, because it encompasses all of the earlier knowledge stored in a business world and combines it with the engineering world into a very potent force for anyone to become successful in our business world or engineering field. Now, this book has many, many topics covered in it, which briefly I can tell you what they are. The very, very first one is called The Essence of Being a Genius. You know, this subject is very misunderstood in our world. And I covered 50 genius traits. I also covered the gradient scale of becoming a genius. Because, truth be told, every one of us is a genius deep within. You just need to tap into it. Part 2 covers the slant of life is towards selling. That's what's all about. Life wants to sell. And I covered 7 levers in leverage, laws of leverage, and 7 levers in it that enables anyone to lift heavy weights with small forces. In part 3, I cover who do you have to be to succeed. That's an important aspect that's never emphasized in any school of thought or education or any other place where you go to learn the subject. Next part, I cover what is your knowledge base. And the next part, I cover what are your leadership qualities. Because leadership is a very great aspect of anyone who wants to be successful. Because by knowing you're not adequately, I would say, equipped to survive. You need to be a leader in your own area to survive best. Now, the next thing I cover is that what is your winning edge in the market? How you are beating the competition in the marketplace. Whether a job market is your own job or somewhere else. And let's face it, every one of us, even if we are working for somebody else, we are still working for ourselves. So in number 1, we are in the entrepreneurship, self-owned business. Even if we work for somebody else, we all have to compete in the marketplace regardless. There's no security in the job place except your knowledge base.